Say hello and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian, joined here by my powerful co-host, Mr. Dan Gill in the house. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I had quite the TV setup for watching college football weekend. I had three TVs going at the same time.
Love it.
So our boy Josh told me that he thinks I have a problem, but he's clearly not an avid sports fan like you and I are.
Foolishness for him to say such a foolish thing, but he clearly doesn't understand it. But that sounds awesome. I'm jealous of your setup, and welcome back to Sports by Compian, Daniel. Are you excited about this week of sports that was?
It was a great one, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Dude, we are going to be covering everything here from CARFU Rugby, World Cup Rugby, as well as college football. Finally wrapping it up with NFL stuff, so stay tuned, like and subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, so you can get lots of vague sports coverage. Hopping right into this CARFU business. So, you know what, Dan? We're going to start talking about a different game instead of the Rockford game this week. Instead, we're going to talk about a crazy upset. Just shook up the whole division. It's all up for grabs again. Oh my God! The Riot have officially lost. The king has fallen from his throne. Dethroned by the Blaze, 34-22. The Riot fall. What do you make of all this, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have beat the Blaze. You guys lost to the Riot. Especially because it was on the road. I get that they're kind of close to each other, but um, the Riot seem to be a strong team so far this year, kind of keeping pace with Lake County. So the fact that the Blaze went in, and we talked about this offline. It was 17-15 at halftime Riot. So really, really competitive in the first half, and the Blazers broke away in the second half, playing obviously stellar defense, only giving up 5 points. So it's a testament to them holding their strength, and they're trying to keep their season alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of back in it a little bit. So it's kind of crazy. They've done some fine work. I mean, right now they're ahead of us in the standings because of how many points they have, which is crazy because we beat them. So stupid. But anyway, that is the case and matter at hand, Dan. So yeah, the Blaze, huge upset, shakes up the whole division. I guess we'll see how this transpires down these last couple weeks here, Dan. Furthermore, your Rockford Ravens traveled down to north or east to Northwest Indiana. We traveled with an absolute skeleton crew. Weddings, injuries, and just general turnover have finally really started to take their toll on the Ravens. And I mean, that's bound to happen when you're not recruiting players and you're just losing them at a rapid rate. Turns out we lost yet another player this weekend, but let me get into that. As your Rockford Ravens traveled, we had to literally call people to come out of retirement, which we did have a couple people heed the call to glory. Thank baby Jesus for them. And they showed up and filled out our squad, and off we went to Northwest Indiana, a 2-hour drive or so. Show up there. They were also a little bit shorthanded, but man, as a captain, you're not going to make a lot of excuses, but we played like shit, man. I don't know what to say about it. It was a hot day. I was hoping it wouldn't be this hot. This was one of the hotter games I've played in this year. This fall was definitely the hottest one. It just, I'm not great in the heat. I do fucking hate it, and I think everybody else kind of felt it right away too. Most of the guys I talked to were gassed. Ravens ultimately pull off a win here, Dan, but you'd like to see better than 17-5 against a pretty weak Northwest Indiana team that didn't even have Marcus on the field, lost Avery early to a rib injury. But we couldn't tackle Steve. We couldn't do simple stuff, Dan. We were having so many penalties, bad offloads, lack of support. Shitty day from the Rockford Ravens, but they still pull out a victory 17-5. But it's not great. We didn't get the bonus point. It definitely hurt our playoff quest in a way.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a game that you're going to need the bonus point out of. Given the fact that unfortunately Northwest has not had the best season. They've not won a game all season, and it seems like
3 years, Dan.
everybody else
I don't know if they've won in like 3 years.
in the fall.
For real, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're probably picking up some games in the spring, but I don't know when's the
Yeah.
last time they won in the fall. I could be wrong about this.
Well, I mean, we won games with them at Nash Bash as them, We lost in the championship with
Oh, and
them
I'm sure they've won Reaper games in the spring
in the
too. I'm just saying
springs.
in
Yeah,
fall
in the
competitive
fall.
season.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if they've won in the last like 3 years. Now I could be wrong about this. Marcus can finally come on the pod and defend himself, but I doubt he will.
But yeah, no, like it's unfortunate that everybody else that's played them has picked up their bonus point
Yeah.
on them. So that's a tough one to lose, especially given how tight the standings are right now. Because you guys would be tied with the Blaze at 15 apiece instead of a 15-14 split. And that would also position you 2 points behind Lake County for the top table and 1 point out for the last playoff spot. So, you know, you have, and we'll get into this later, but with the 2 games that you have, one of them is, I think, immediately became a tall order for you guys in the North, the Woodsman.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys can take care of Peoria, but we're down to 2 games, and you guys are running out of time to make
We're
that
down to the
push.
last 2 games, and the last thing I'll say about the Ravens' performance, I think they were looking ahead a little bit in this one. I think they were getting ahead of ourselves, thinking we were going to score the 17 points in the first half, and just weren't taking basic rugby. But that said, I'm not going to take anything away from the North and Indiana Reapers because they came out, man, and they made it a game. They made it a scrappy one from the beginning. The game got called early because they were so scrappy and fights were happening, which really sucked. It could have given us a chance to maybe put up a couple more tries. But anyway, Steve Karasik, we've mentioned him before on this pod. Played like an absolute animal.
You monster.
Ran through the Ravens all day. I struggled to tackle him myself. Didn't miss a tackle, but did struggle to tackle him. He's an absolute monster, and they have a lot of young guns that are just really bringing it, man. So shout out to the Reapers. Hopefully they continue to build down there. Another game that took place this weekend was the Peoria Pigs just getting absolutely dismantled by the Northwest Indiana Woodsmen, Northwest Chicago. I don't know if
They're
that's
just Northwest, yeah.
Northwest Woodsmen. So as Dan mentioned and alluded to, the Woodsmen have just become a tall order. They put up 77-21 on this game. That's insane.
33.
77-33. That's crazy. That's so many points. It
Which,
seems like the
I
Peoria
mean,
defense just didn't want to tackle.
but it's also kind of amazing that they put up 33 points and still lost. Because typically, you put up 33, you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
So, I had the chance to talk to Preston after the game. Like and we've heard this before, like they're hurting for numbers up there. They're pretty banged up. He himself said he was a little banged up. So he wasn't playing at 100%. Not to make excuses, but,
Right.
much like what Rockford's going through, like if you don't have the depth, it's going to catch up to you. And this was clearly a game for Peoria.
Yeah.
That it was a road game. So, as we've mentioned on the show before, traveling is always hard to get numbers in general.
Mm-hmm.
You have that, and you have injuries. It's just going to be a compounding issue, and it's hard to stay competitive.
100%. 100%. Anyway, we won't spend any more time on CARFU rugby. Just know that there's 2 very important weeks coming up. Moving into some World Cup rugby. Interesting game out of Nibia here. They've gotten absolutely smacked by everybody they've played against so far this World Cup, so it's good to see some fight out of the boys.
Yeah, no, definitely. Uruguay was a team that you and I had talked about earlier. Being in Pool A, they kind of had bright spots in that France game, and they were just getting sloppy and took themselves out of it. But this was truly a matchup at the bottom of Pool A.
Yeah.
Uruguay has 5 points, maybe has none. But it was kind of nice to see a nice competitive game on both sides.
For sure.
10-point gap, but both squads have room to build, need room to build. But I think it was nice to see there were some bright spots.
Absolutely. Yeah, and good for Nibia. I think going into this, they just wanted to show that they did have some fight. They could hang with some teams, and good for them for showing that they can. Give their team something, give their country something to cheer for. Japan Samoa. We did mention this one was going to be a tight one going into this week. Japan finds a way to win, but Samoa out here making it close with a lot of teams.
Yeah, they've definitely had a strong showing the whole World Cup. I know their record doesn't necessarily dictate it at being 1-2, but their plus minus is plus 18, so they've definitely held strong. And I mean, that's a pretty competitive pool group
Yeah.
with England and Argentina in there as well. So they've been one of the more exciting teams to watch, I think. And they really made it tough on Japan. And they could potentially keep Japan from not moving on because Argentina's holding the last spot, even though they both have 9 points. Uh, Japan couldn't get that bonus point,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. So, but good showing by them. I think expect them to move up and build on that.
Indeed. Yeah. Good game for Samoa. Decent game for Japan too, finding a way to win against a competitive Samoa team. New Zealand and Italy. Italy decided not to show up for this game, or maybe just decided not to tackle. Also, a lot of people were just saying, I mean, hell, this is everyone's fault for underestimating New Zealand. And New Zealand just coming out here with the rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. They're smashing some teams out here, and they put a fucking beat down on poor Italy.
Yeah, no, 100%. People have been giving New Zealand such a hard time all World Cup. They're
Whole
not.
cycle leading up to the World Cup, they were talking shit about New Zealand.
Yeah, even leading up to it. I mean, granted, we had mentioned before, them and France were the front runners. We really didn't see Italy, Uruguay, or Nambia pulling off really anything out of this. So, so I don't want to say they were in a safe spot anyway, but still, you want to be rolling heavy into the stage play
Yeah,
once you get out of pool play. So it was nice to kind of see them get their step back and just like you said, they're not on the way out.
no.
They're still here.
They're still here. Italy, on the other hand, needs to figure their life out. Like, how do you guys let 96 points get put up on you as a tier one nation in the World Cup? Have some fucking pride. Goddamn.
Yeah,
Argentina absolutely dismantles Chile. Chile's had a rough go of it so far in the World Cup. They just seem outmatched out there, Dan.
yeah. A lot of these bottom pools are kind of rough to watch games.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean Argentina. I think you and I had gone back numerous times and debated on how that pool was going to break out. Because that pool actually has three strong teams in it between England, Argentina, and Japan. So this is definitely a must-win game. They needed to put up the big points in this game because they are holding on right now over
Yeah.
Japan. So this is going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to the last game probably on who's going to move up.
Exciting times over there.
I would say, yeah, Pool D, Pool B are like the two most, I believe, competitive pools in this World Cup right now.
And then a really interesting game was Fiji and Georgia. I think Georgia will be very disappointed with how this one turned out. I mean, it is against Fiji, definitely a worthy nation. Fiji actually turned some heads this World Cup so far.
Yeah, definitely is a surprise. They've definitely had some upsets in this World Cup. I had a chance to watch this game, and it was a brilliant game. Both sides just tooth and nail. Georgia almost pulled it off at the very end. They had a beautiful kick that curled back in towards the center, but the Georgia wing could not outrun the Fiji back line. Because if he could have, like he was gone, he was going to touch minimum draw with conversion, probably
I've
win.
heard it's
They
hard
would
to
have won.
outrun Fijians, so
I'm sorry, what?
I've heard it's hard to outrun the Fijians.
Yeah, I mean, their back line was just phenomenal. Like they would get close space and keep tempo. But I mean, like I said, this one was good. Georgia got out to an early 9-0 lead. Then Fiji had finally got their try because it was, and then they just kind of went back and forth, and they just Fiji weaseled their way back in the second half off some penalty kicks, and then an eventual a second try. So, kudos to them for staying with it because they were down 9-0 for the majority of this match, and just don't lose that pace, don't lose that feeling because when you start hitting the second half and you're down like that, you can get a little demoralizing because they didn't let it get to them.
Good for them. Scotland on the other, Romania on the other hand, could use a come to Jesus meeting. I'm not sure we really need to say too much more about that one, Dan. Do you have any strong opinions
Yeah.
about Scotland putting a beat down on Romania?
No, other than it was a kind of a must-win game. Right? Honestly, they needed a must-show, given the fact that Ireland and uh, South Africa are just running away with that pool. So, unfortunately, like I said, this is one of the more competitive ones. So, there's going to be a quality team left out of stage play, and it looks like it's going to be Scotland.
That'd be crazy. Australia finds a way to finally win here against Portugal, but Portugal does find a way to get a couple tries on the board. Tonga scored a couple tries. They were somewhat in that game against South Africa to close out this. We got one more week of pool play, Daniel. A couple games coming up. Italy has some fighting breath in them as they go against France. Good luck with that. Same to Uruguay. That should be interesting for you boys. You got Georgia Wales. Now that's gonna be an interesting game for Georgia. They have gotten the win against Portugal, but I don't think they've played how they've wanted to this World Cup. And I think this is a strong game for them to go out on. Samoa England should actually be pretty interesting. I'm curious if the Samoan team can bring some fire. Ireland Scotland's going to be wild. Argentina Japan, and then Portugal Fiji, Tonga Romania. I think
Yeah,
we got some decent games this weekend, Dan. I kind of like this.
yeah, no, definitely excited for the Ireland, Scotland, and Japan
Argentina.
Argentina match. Well, I mean that game itself, Japan Argentina. Talk about a winner go home game like that.
That's
Both at
crazy.
9 points. They're going to have to do that. So, and then if Scotland wants any hope, they're going to have to upset Ireland. So two two major games right there. And then I think I agree. The Georgia Wales match, I'm excited to watch to see what they're going to bring to that. But great games to close it out, and we'll see what happens.
Love it. Love it. We got some excellent World Cup rugby coming up to close out the pool play, and Sports by Compian will be here to absolutely cover it for you. But before we move on, Daniel, I'd like to bring up a non-sponsor sponsor of the podcast, and that's Four Ocean. They're actually not a non-sponsor sponsor because they're a nonprofit themselves, but they're trying to clean up the ocean, people. So if you're interested in getting cool ass water bottles like this one, a big ass 1,000 milliliter water bottle that is made out of metal, because fuck all that plastic. If you want to, contribute to getting rid of the fucking plastic in the ocean, clean up the beaches, type of thing, Four Ocean, man, quality team doing some of the Lord's work out there.
Lord's work.
The Lord's very own work, Daniel. All right, we're briefly going over some college football stuff, which we have yet the most vague of coverage for you fine people of. Now, we have no idea what was going on here with Jacksonville State and Sam Houston, but they did go to overtime, so it's worth mentioning. Good for Jacksonville State, pull off the win. Oregon State finds a huge upset actually against Utah. That's pretty big, 7-21. What do you suppose happened over there, Daniel?
Oregon State's a fun place to play, but they're always a relatively competitive team, and they were actually favored in that game, I believe, on the stat line. So,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't know
Um,
Utah was 10 and they were
but
19.
yeah, so it's tough. Utah was a promising team. They've been playing well over the last couple of years. People have been really trying to buy into them being on the top end of things. So this is a really tough loss for them. Oregon State's going to get a nice bump. But, they're in the dying conference that is Pac-12. So,
Very sad for them and everybody in that Pac-12. Moving on. Texas absolutely destroys Kansas. Georgia finds a way to survive against Auburn. Michigan had some team in Nebraska apparently play them. It wasn't very close, Daniel. And then South Carolina puts up a win against Colorado, who got completely knocked out of the standings. But we saw some fight out of Colorado, huh? A little bit of a furious
yeah,
second half comeback.
yeah, USC. So I was watching that game. Yeah, USC just got out hot, fast, and early. And kudos to Colorado, kept their composure. Were able to chip back into it and only lose by 8. So I think there's a lot of promise in the team. It's tough losses back-to-back weeks for Colorado, giving up a lot of points. So it's tough to see that on their end. But you know, this isn't an overnight uh, change for them. It's going to take some time. So don't be discouraged with what you're seeing. I think they're in the right direction. USC for probably didn't expect that much of a comeback um, out of
Colorado.
Colorado since they're up 34-14 at halftime, and they got outscored in the second half. So they're kind of talked about USC defense. What were they doing wrong? What was Colorado doing right? So do you open the door from USC not finish the game? But I don't think we're there yet.
Right. Well, good game out of Colorado. I mean, obviously you do want to see them win, but at least they're staying in there. Duke couldn't quite get over the hump against Notre Dame, but damn, they made it close. They were down 10-0 for most of the game, but they find a way to lose in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, Kentucky had a great upset over Florida, 22nd ranked Florida, 33-14. Kentucky's just looked good the last couple of weeks, so I honestly saw this one coming. I watched this one too. Um, their running back, sorry, Davis put up 280 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. He was just,
Holy shit!
yeah,
What
he
a
was
tackling,
on
man!
26 carries.
Jesus.
Um, yeah, one of his Ray Davis had that's his name. Has one of his touchdowns was a 75-yard run. He just gone.
Wow.
So, have a day, dude. Have a day.
Good for him. Ole Miss finds a way to upset LSU. Close game there as well. Exciting stuff going on in college football. It's a vibrant. It's always just cool to see upsets and everything. But we're getting towards the midway point of the season so far, and definitely some teams starting to separate themselves a little bit.
Yeah, we're finally a couple weeks into conference play, so this is where things kind of always get really crazy uh, for teams.
Michigan State loses again. Sad times. Moving on to the NFL. So we got currently the Seattle Seahawks and New York Giants going to battle right now. It is still a 7-0 game. That one touchdown was another fumble by Daniel Jones, which led to a Metcalf touchdown. And as it stands, 7-0. Hopping into some action that happened already. Thursday Night Football. Detroit Lions just looked like they were mostly controlled this game. The score got a little closer towards the second half, but kind of a disappointment for you Packers fans, I would imagine, huh, Dan? Although you did pick
Yeah,
the Detroit for this one.
I did pick Detroit for this one. Detroit's just looked really good last year into this year. We're still banged up. Not an excuse by any means, but when you're banged up, teams can just expose you and take advantage of it, and that's what they did. I still think there's a little bit of learning chemistry with Love and his guys, but it was nice to get Jones and Watson back. But them being out for the last couple of weeks, you kind of lose that timing a little bit. So there's still work to do. As you mentioned, they pulled up a little bit in the second half. So I'm not hitting that panic button yet. But the Lions, we said this before, we'll say it again. They're going to be a tough team this year.
Absolutely. Jacksonville finally gets themselves right over there in London, which I think they're going to be over there again next weekend. It's crazy.
They
Like
are. They
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 just
play
flip.
at the Bills next week.
Lame.
Um, they're really pushing it. So
Yeah. Well, Jacksonville finds a way to win on the road. They're starting to get comfortable out there in London. I mean, they're there like every year. Atlanta
yeah.
couldn't get it going, man. I don't know if Desmond Ritter's the answer over there, but I don't know if they have another answer sitting in their back pocket either.
So I heard an interesting theory. I was watching so they were talking about just doing a straight up trade. What if you do Josh Dobbs for Desmond Ritter? And hear me out. Because this is what the guy said. He goes, look, Josh Dobbs has shown flashes of good, and Atlanta could probably work with that. But Arizona, let's be honest, they want Caleb Williams out of USC. If Josh Dobbs keeps winning them games, it's going to hurt their odds to get him. Where Desmond Ritter, I don't think he's going to do much out there. And I don't want to say he's going to take into the tank thing, but I think with Desmond Ritter, they won't have as good of a chance to win some games. So the Falcons can definitely work around building something with Dobbs. Desmond Ritter doesn't really do the job in Arizona. They get the draft spot they want. They get their man in Caleb.
I don't understand why the Cardinals would do this, though. They're essentially making a trade to make their team worse, that they'll lose more games.
Because they want to make sure, yeah, because if Dobbs keeps winning,
Maybe if you get some more
put him up.
capital, I don't know. That seems like a pretty wild theory, but
It is. Like, I was watching, it was on a sports talk show. They were talking about it. But they're trying to do whatever they can to get Caleb Williams, let's be honest. Them or the Bears. And he doesn't want to go to the Bears.
well, tough luck for him. It's not going to get drafted there, so.
Well, he still has one more year of eligibility, so he can go back next year.
Oh, okay. Did he say that he doesn't want to play for the Bears?
Yeah, and his dad said he'll go back to college.
Wow, that's harsh. Sounds like Eli Manning all over again. Buffalo Bills find a way to win a big one against against Miami. Miami seemed to have many chances to get into this, but just couldn't get it going. Their running back has another big day, but just not enough for as Buffalo's offense just went off.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are picking the Dolphins on this, but it's the Bills, right? Going into Buffalo, Miami hasn't done the best with. Sure, they put up some fight. Well, I guess they did win that Christmas game, but or no, I don't know if they won that Christmas game. But anyway, all order. Obviously, they're not playing Denver again, so there's a little bit of come down to reality. I don't know if they were still trying to ride high on that, but Josh Allen's going to get himself straight this year, and I don't think there's a concern up there.
Sure doesn't look like it. Moving on, the Minnesota Vikings take care of business against Carolina. Fairly close game. If Bryce Young can start to figure this out a little bit, Carolina could start to put a couple things together. They've been pretty much in every single one of their games. Not too many blowouts happening for them. Kirk Cousins actually his least impressive performance by far. 139, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kind of a rough day at the office for him.
Yeah, for sure. He's been putting up some phenomenal numbers and some losing, so it's kind of funny that he puts up kind of terrible numbers and wins. But yeah, no, like you said, I think the Panthers are. I don't want to say they're like watch out for him, but I think they're probably doing a little better than people expected with having a rookie quarterback. Like you said, they've been in these games, so it's good to see. But also, the Vikings have been right there in all their games.
Right.
And just can't get over that last little hump there. So nice to see them finally do it. Let's see if they can build on it. Next week's not going to be an easy task for them when they go to they host the Chiefs. So maybe they can get it together, but it's prime time Kirk Cousins, man, next week.
We'll see, man. And then Denver barely pulled off a win at the very end there to save all of our picks. Other than, of course, Mr. Anderson, who picked his Bears. And I think did Cedric also pick the Bears?
No, I don't think he will. I think he went with Denver.
Either way, Denver finally figures it out in the second half and have a roaring comeback. Justin Fields finds a way to get the ball back to Denver for a nice for a nice fumble return. And yeah, Denver wins this. You got to be sick to your stomach if you're a Chicago fan.
Yeah, they can't get out of their own way. It's just rinse, repeat, change team that they're playing at this point. They're imploding from the inside. Players are, openly admitting things to other players and whatnot. I don't know if you saw. I believe it was the Tampa game. I'm not familiar with who the defensive back was on Tampa, but he went to DJ Moore and was like, "They're not using you right," and DJ Moore was like, "I know." That's not good. It was caught on mic. That's not good. So,
Great.
The Bears are trying to move Claypool. They're done with that experiment. It didn't even last a year. So, it's just
Claypool's got to be
struggling
down the list, like bottom of people's priority list at this point.
Hey, Steven, I can't hear you.
I said that Claypool's got to be like towards the bottom of what people are interested in trading for at this point. I mean, the guy had one good rookie year or game. Was it even like not a whole rookie year? Wasn't it like a couple games that he just went off?
Yeah, he went off a couple games, but yeah, he doesn't have a lot of value in him right now. He can't. He's not staying on the field. When he's on the field, he's not there. And I know you guys got on me the other week when I said this, but I mean, let's just be honest. How much longer are they gonna give Justin Fields to?
For real, man. I mean, he had four touchdowns in the first half, and then just interception, fumble recovery. Rough second half. We don't need to get on the Bears. Everybody else is doing it. How about we get on Cleveland instead? Because I guess Lamar Jackson, what's his name, was hurt. Deshaun Watson fucked me in fantasy. Thanks, Watson. But anyway, um, yeah, dude, 28-3. Their backup was not good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Ravens, good bounce back win for them after that tough loss in overtime last week to Indy. They're trying to right the ship out there. 3-1 record is a good spot, but there was a lot of questions out there with their health as well.
Hey, much like the
So
CARFU
they're able to
Ravens,
capitalize.
these NFL Ravens are 3-1. See what I
I
did
see what you
there?
did there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Pittsburgh
You're,
Steelers get absolutely walloped by Houston Texans. Kenny Pickett takes a bruise to his ribs, I want to say, or something like that. He got banged up in this game and was out, and Houston just dismantled the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is starting to get crazy. Is Houston a real team? CJ Stroud looks like a guy. What's going on over there?
I mean, CJ Stroud, I think he played well all season. It's just, I think it's coming together a little more. That's one of those things. The more weeks you play, the more time, the more reps you get with your team. They're going to build into it. So,
Yeah, three
you know,
touchdowns,
this,
two touchdowns.
they, you know, this, and that's the thing about the AFC South. This division is always up for grabs, I believe. No, it's very rare, except for that little run that the Titans had. And I'm talking about post Peyton Manning era, by the way, not
Right.
the history of the division. But since post Peyton Manning era, I feel like you could you could roll a die, and whatever it lands on sounds about right. So, no, there's no team that's going to take command of this division right now.
It's crazy. Good for Houston, man. They're playing some good ball. I'm going to really think about it the next time I'm picking against them because now they've upset me 2 weeks in a row. The Rams
Same.
barely hold on to beat against Indianapolis. They did it in before overtime, right? Yeah, it was before overtime. Crazy game. Um, Indianapolis looked pretty good in this. Matthew Stafford struggled at times, but ultimately figures it out in the end. Anthony Richardson, not a ton of completions. I'm sure he wishes he had a couple of those passes back. Yeah, very close game here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that people kind of felt a little confident about. Because their defense has played well lately, even last year. But I was a little surprised. I think the Rams got a reality check last week against the Bengals um, with that loss. But Richardson's trying to put things together. He was able to play this week. He wasn't able to play against Baltimore. So good to see him back out.
Yeah, I mean,
And
good for the comeback by the Colts. It was like 23-9 at one point in the like start going into the second half, I believe, and they actually took the lead for a while. So good for them,
yeah,
showing some heart.
yeah,
On to a game that's quite lovely. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely upset the New Orleans Saints. A lot of people thought the Saints were going to run away with this. Not the case. Held Derek Carr completely in check for most of the game, then straight up sent him out with an injury. Our boy Jameis Winston made a lovely entrance into the game and quickly threw an interception to seal out the game. Baker Mayfield does his thing, 3 touchdown passes, including an absolute beauty to Devin Tompkins, who dove and caught it. Just an absolutely lovely day for the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin steps up huge with the injury to Mike Evans. And the boys run away with this one, Dan.
big win for them. Right now, it's for the division lead. So big implications early in the season.
Absolutely. And we are now 3-0 against the Saints. And you know what? Maybe Cam Jordan's right. Maybe it's not a rivalry. Maybe the Buccaneers just run this shit, Cam. Do love Cam, but that guy talks a lot of shit about the Buccaneers, and he's constantly trying to scout us. Well, buddy, we're 3-0 against you lately, so maybe, wake up and smell the coffee. Washington Commanders made this a way closer game than a lot of us expected, but I guess we should have expected it being a divisional game.
I mean, yeah, divisional game, and they were a team that almost made the playoffs last year. They got out on they got out on the Eagles early. They're up 17-7 at one point, 17-10 at halftime, and then they were just kind of trading shots back and forth there to end the game. But I don't think
Couldn't
it's
cover
cause
AJ
for
Brown.
concern. I don't think it's cause for concern for any Eagles fans by any means. But we've been saying this lately. How much with getting the enemy, the Chiefs over there is going to help build that offense because we've seen what he did in Kansas City. Ron Rivera has a great defensive mind, so like they could really be getting stuff together over there.
It's exciting. They just couldn't cover AJ Brown in this game. Dude went off, had 2 touchdown passes, 175 yards and 9 receptions. They couldn't cover AJ Brown. He took over the game, as good players do when their team needs them, right?
Right.
Big upset here was the Titans just destroying poor Cincinnati. Cincinnati
Yeah, I got to
is
stop
just out here
picking
searching
against
for their life.
Tennessee.
And we gotta stop picking the fucking Bengals, dude.
Yeah,
Fucking
that
A,
too.
man. They're destroying me. But yeah, Tennessee has now upset us a couple picks, but like I feel like we picked them last week and they lost. So it's they're one
They
of those
did.
teams. They're
Yeah.
one of those teams this year, which is great. Thanks, Tennessee. We appreciate those kind of teams.
Yeah, Tennessee's trying to keep their window open the best they can, and I don't know what's going on with the Bengals. It's tough, And I mentioned this before. Like at some point, is it worth benching? Not benching, but like
Saving them.
sitting Burrow to rest him because he's clearly he's still
Not.
hurt to a degree. Um, is it worth sitting him for a little bit because, like I said, it's sit him for a couple weeks to rest, get better, or you'll lose him for the rest of the season.
Valid questions. Not something we have to deal with, but yeah, the Bengals are searching for answers over there. Maybe they'll figure it out like they did last year, though. Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders. Now, not a bad game out of Aiden O'Connell. He did have a costly interception. Um, Noticeable difference with him throwing the ball in that offense. Devontae Adams did go off, but not like he has the last couple of weeks. Justin Herbert does just enough to get his team to win here. Not a super exciting performance out of either quarterback, but Justin Herbert now has 2 wins in a row. He's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about the score when I saw this one come down. With Garoppolo being, I think if Garoppolo was playing in this game,
Yeah.
this is the score I would have expected. Nothing against O'Connell. He looked pretty good in the preseason.
Who is he? A
Um,
rookie
so we
or
so we definitely knew that he had something going on there.
is he a rookie
Um,
or?
yes, he's a rookie.
Oh, okay.
So we definitely knew something was going on there, but um, yeah, Chargers found a way to survive. Early important divisional matchup, especially with the way Chiefs have been playing. You're gonna you gotta keep pace. So
Absolutely. Well, Dallas Cowboys absolutely just destroyed the poor New England. I mean, there was a couple blowouts this week, Dan, and this was definitely one of them. Probably the biggest one. Dallas didn't left no mercy for Bill Belichick's Patriots. Mac Jones got benched in this game. What's his called? Zappy came in. Oof, it's looking rough down there in New
yeah,
England right now.
New England or Mac Jones threw 2 interceptions, had like 150 yards passing. Um, did you happen to hear about the video for Zeke that they did?
No, well, I think so.
So like first time back in Dallas since he left Dallas.
Yeah,
So they did like a thank you Zeke video. And remember that like old video where he's like eating cereal?
yeah.
They included that in the highlight package of it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Dallas. We expected this. New England's searching for answers.
Searching for answers indeed. Much like the Cardinals, who actually put up a pretty decent fight against the 49ers. But my biggest gripe with this game was, oh my god, they could not stop Christian McCaffrey, who I happen to be going against in a very important fantasy league. And dude, the dude put up like 40 some points. Meanwhile, I got Austin Eckler sitting on his ass for the last 3 weeks. It's like, it'd be nice to have a first round pick actually play, you know what I mean, Dan? And the crazy thing about that is I picked Austin Eckler over Christian McCaffrey because historically, Christian McCaffrey's always getting hurt. What a world, Dan. What a world.
What a world. Dobbs put up some good numbers again. 265, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, I think that they have something good there. Is he the end all be all for Arizona? Maybe not, but
How old is he?
he played well. 28.
28? Okay.
So he's definitely got a lot of life left in him for a career.
It looks like
But
they're having a pretty decent run day with James Conner, but they just had to get away from it because, turns out they're down by.
once you get behind,
Yeah, they're down by so many points, but their run game was going well.
yeah, for sure. So I think they definitely might have something going on there. 1-3 record might not necessarily indicate what's going on over there, but
Hey, that win-win is
keep
against the
working on it.
Cowboys, so it's a big win.
That's true.
Anyway, Sports by Compian has now brought you some pretty vague coverage about 4 different leagues here, and you know what, Dan? We still got another video coming out this week. Isn't that exciting?
It's always exciting.
We're gonna give you guys some picks for our NFL picks, and I gotta say, we've been pretty good on this shit. We kind of got this stuff down, don't we, Dan?
I mean, I know myself. I believe you. We're in the mid 80% range.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
we all
sir.
can't be Cedric and be in the low 50s, but I'm just kidding.
Oh, we love you,
But no,
Cedric.
yeah.
All right, buddy. This was another lovely episode of Sports by Compian. I hope you people are liking and subscribing our content so that we're encouraged to send you more of it. And also, we're fucking out.